Hello and welcome to the Schuh Show. I'm Grant Cohn. That's Rob Schuh. I left my microphone at home. He did not. So I sound kind of weak, and he's gonna be like THX at the beginning of the movie where it's like, but it sounds better than that. Rob, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I feel like I got to do something like hello and welcome to Movie Phone.
That sounds exactly like him. If you were alive in the '90s, you know what he's talking about. Was that 777 film or 5?
I think it was. I think it
777.
was.
I think it was. All right, so we don't have time to mess around.
No.
The Niners because the Niners are doing nothing. We have a lot to talk about the nothingness that they're doing. And the first question is, given the nothingness that the Niners have done, what does their free agent strategy say about their faith in their new quarterback, Trey Lance?
These are the questions that are running through my mind, Grant. Are the Niners still flirting with quarterbacks? You're seeing some news stories linking them to some of these names. If you're really invested in who you have, you don't do that. You don't send mixed messages. If you're fully invested in your marriage, you're not flirting with other girls, right?
It's like what the Niners are doing is like they're presenting their wife with the list. Like, these are the 5 women that if they approached me in life, I would have to do. Like, it's like Halle Berry. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's that list. And
yeah.
Deshaun Watson's on it. Sorry.
As long as the list is laminated, then that's fine. Like, if you're committed to those 5, that's all you need to do. So are the Niners still flirting with QBs? I think the answer is yes. We can't definitively know, but I believe so. Have they been conservative in free agency? It certainly seems that way to me so far. The question becomes, are they hedging their bet? They were so close to the Super Bowl. Why not go all in?
Yes, why not go all in? There is breaking news. We're going to address it in a minute. The Niners signed a safety, George Odom, from the where's he from? The Colts. 3-year deal, $10.9 million. Why don't we come back to the and let's do Odom right now. Let's both look up George Odom.
I like that, because George Odom is not a household name.
No, he's not. What do we know about George Odom? Okay, he is 28 years old. He's played 4 seasons with the Colts. He was an all-pro in 2020. I guess for special teams, because he didn't start 1 game. He started 7 games last year. He has started 10 games in his career on defense. This guy must be like a special teams. I'm not sure this guy's a starting safety. He was not a starting. I'm like, why have I never heard of this guy? Who the hell is? Okay, they got some. I'm thinking this is special teams. What do you think?
Yeah. Going outside of Niners news world, I went to Pat's Pulpit for the Patriots news, and George Odom is listed there as one of their potential targets. They claim he's one of the NFL's best special teamers. So, yes, this is yet again the San Francisco 49ers making an investment in special teams. Seems to be a focus so far.
It's really funny how much better than the rest of the league the Niners think they are. That they're like, oh, this team went all in, that team went all in. Pfft, good luck catching us. We just need a corner and slightly better special teams. Boom. And it's like, I'm not even sure they've gotten better on special teams because they lost Trent Sherfield, who was a monster on special teams. They lost Mostert, who was a monster on special teams, and Trenton Cannon, but they're replacing guys. George Odom better not be their starting safety next year.
No, that
better not be.
Even if I would be moderately disappointed if the 49ers went in with their current staple of safeties and just said, hey, one of these 3 is going to climb above the pile, right? We got Tavarius Moore, we got Talanoa Hufanga, and now we've added this gentleman, and one of them will distinguish themselves. That, to me, would be a horrible move going into the season. But I don't anticipate that that's what this signing was attempting to address. I do feel that the 49ers have substantially upgraded their special teams. I know that they're offsetting some of the players that are leaving, but to me, this shows an acknowledgement that third phase of the game was subpar for the San Francisco 49ers last year, and they're addressing it now. To me, this is a win. I get the criticism of the Niners not going all in other areas, but at least they're acknowledging how FUBAR special teams was.
That is definitely good in a vacuum. The criticism is if they plan to use him on defense. Let's look at it that way.
Right.
If this is the only safety they sign, he's not a starting safety. So what you're telling me is you're either going to go into the season with him and Talanoa Hufanga and have that be the competition, or you're going to draft a safety too. And you're probably going to have to draft one pretty high. So this is like, I was thinking they might sign a better safety than a guy I'd literally never heard of. But maybe that's my fault for not having heard. If you've honestly heard of George Odom, raise your hand. Honestly, ever in your life.
I'm sitting on my hands.
I've never heard. I was sitting here like, well, I'm sure Rob's heard of him. I'm going to pretend like I've heard of George.
You're like, oh, Georgia, of course.
Oh, yeah,
George.
that guy.
Yeah.
He started 7 games for the Colts last year. Anyway, he was an all-pro special teams guy. They're thinking that's the one thing they need to – that they basically – the Niners in this mode where they don't think they need to get better. They just need to address whatever slight weaknesses they have, and this guy certainly does that. Maybe the Niners are right. I think they're probably not. We will see, because I'm wrong a lot as well. Chris doesn't like it. He says another store brand free agent.
It is dollar store shopping at this point, it would seem, for the 49ers. But if you're addressing special teams, I mean, the dollar store is where you go.
This is like the Fendi of special teams. This is like the Moncler of special teams. It's like the you know what I'm saying? They went to the most expensive boutique in the mall for their coverage on special teams. So nice.
If they do not address safety further, and they do not address that bookend rusher, edge rusher that it appeared they were after, right? I mean, they flirted with Chandler Jones. If they don't fill either one of those, I feel like legitimately the only way you're getting a starter at either of those positions is at 61, because they haven't moved Jimmy. They don't have another second rounder. And so they have two big holes and really one pick that makes sense to fill one of the two. I feel like they've got to address this in free agency one way or the other.
I'd love to know Jaquaski Tartt's reaction to this. Like, he's probably like, who? Like, what? You replaced me with what? Who and what? Yeah, I feel you, man. Jaquaski, no respect. He is the Rodney Dangerfield of safeties. 49ers, I mean, he's not the greatest player, but damn, dude, they replaced you with George Odom. I don't even know who that is. That's rough. I'm sorry. You're better than George Odom. Pizza Diaper, whoa, says, is John Lynch trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo at the draft and roll over his salary in the next season like you suggested they should have done this season? I don't know what John Lynch is doing. I think he's on a never-ending quest to get the 2 second-round picks that aren't going to come. That's what it's Moby Dick. He is Captain Ahab. The 2 second-round picks are the white whale, and he's going to keep going for them. No matter what detriment it does to the ship that he's supposed to be the captain of.
What about the detriment to my health, Grant? That's the main concern.
George says, I don't think the Niners want to trade Jimmy. That thinking is stupid. If that is true, he is the weakest link on this team. You need to move on. They do want to trade Jimmy, but they want to be right that they could get a certain return for him, and they're tripping about that. Chris says, never. Niners have a proven top 5 quarterback wanting to play for them. They really should go and get Watson. Trey can get them the picks necessary to make it happen. I don't think they can. I mean, I guess, could you trade Trey for 3 first-round picks right now? No. He's not worth.
I mean, the other question is, and this takes out of the equation whether I actually want it to happen or not, but quite honestly, within the Bay Area, would a quarterback like Deshaun Watson with the cloud over his head, would that fly with the San Francisco fan base? I don't think that it would.
Eric Price is mad. He says, how do you know Odom is a bum? You watch his tape. First of all, I didn't say he's a bum. Second of all, I said he's an all-pro special teamer, and I haven't even watched the tape yet. I know, I trust that he is the freaking man on special teams. But if the plan is to bring in a dude with 10 career starts who's 28 years old and say that guy is an upgrade over Jaquaski Tartt, then I have to be a little skeptical on that. But I admit that I haven't grinded the tape because there is no freaking tape, because this guy doesn't play defense. He's a special teamer. Eric, don't you ever talk to me like that ever again. I love you, Eric. Did you see what Jennifer Lee Chan just tweeted? No. Hold on. Let's see what Jennifer Lee Chan. Ding, 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 ding. Jennifer Lee Chan. What did she just tweet? That is my sound effect for technology loading. This would indicate that Jaquaski Tartt's future is likely not with the Niners. Yes, I think I figured that out. Me and Jennifer are on the same wavelength.
That seems like a weak relation, right? I mean, if the 49ers in any way see this as a replacement for Jaquaski Tartt, that would be somewhat shocking to me. I guess you could see it as depth behind one of the other two players. To me, it would seem like.
Here's my read.
Let's see it.
They want Talanoa to start. Boom. There it is.
I think that's
I just said it.
Yes.
I just said it. They don't actually want to. They're bringing in competition for Talanoa. Oh, here's a vet. He started 7 games. Like he was an all-pro on special team. That's, it's like, okay, like if you really want to bring in competition for Talanoa, how about Tart? Because he would lose that competition. So now you're bringing someone then that Talanoa can beat. That's what you're doing.
That's fair. And according to Nate Atkins, who I met at the Combine, great guy, covers the Colts for the Indianapolis Star, he did tweet out a nice deal for George Odom. He'll be a special teamer who can factor in at safety, something he didn't get much of a chance at in Indianapolis. So people figuring he has the safety chops.
The Niners have cornered the market on special teamers who can factor in at safety. I mean, that's what Talanoa is, right? That's exactly what he is. And now you got a Talanoa who's 28 and you're giving him $10 million. $10 million to play special teams. I love it. Okay. Hey, man, go have the best special teams in the league. Although you probably should have re-signed Trent Sherfield if you wanted that. Just saying. But
yeah, I feel like that was the one loss that I do regret because Trenton Cannon, right, had lost his starting role as the kick returner by the end of the season. So I don't know that was a big loss on special teams. Raheem Mostert obviously hadn't played special teams in a while, but Trent Sherfield as a gunner, that was a quality gunner. So you got to hope that this is the fill-in here.
Yeah, my major takeaway from this one is that get used to the idea of Talanoa Hufanga starting at safety. Get used to that. They like him. More than
I think that's fair.
You do. Yeah.
I believe whichever of the two, safety or edge rusher, that we don't address in free agency, we will address with that first overall pick at 61.
Yeah, I don't see them drafting a safety with the 61st pick when maybe they should. Cap says Odom has progressed each season. He's been in the league, started 7 games last season and got 55 tackles. He's going to be a terrific backup for Talanoa Hufanga, who would be a terrific backup for Jaquiski Tart. Jaquiski, I respect you, man. You're probably having a good laugh. I hope you have a good day. Go fishing. He likes to fish. Chris says, I don't think you need 3 firsts to get Watson. A top 10 pick and a second or 2 should be enough if he wants to come here. Can get a top 10 this year. Seems like he wants to go to Atlanta. That's what we're hearing. Wants to go home.
Absolutely the rumor.
I'd probably rather live in Atlanta than Santa Clara too. I live in Oakland, but I work in Santa Clara. Nothing against Santa Clara, but I commute. I'm just saying. And Deshaun Watson, if you were to come to I would actually recommend you commute as well. Though I don't think you can. If you're a player, you got to live next to the facility, right?
Yeah. Can't waste that time commuting.
Can't. And you can't have the helicopter anymore. No. Some people try to do it, but that's off the table. I don't want to talk about it, but you know what I'm talking about. That Niner guy says they put the cash saving moves into getting a starting tackle. What? They put this cash saving move into getting a starting tackle. They could use one. They could. I don't know who. Lyle Collins, Isaiah Gill, every show, Trey area. I respect it. He's consistent. If not consistent. All right, moving on. Let's get back to our show. George Odom. What's his name? I call him Greg Oden. George Odom. Nice to meet you. Niners special team just became a problem. All right, let's get back to our show. So what does the fact that the Niners are so focused on special teams mean about their faith in Trey Lance?
I mean, again, like if they were making these types of moves with all 3 phases of the game, I would say to myself, they've got faith. They know exactly what they have in Trey Lance. They're going all in. They're taking advantage of this rookie contract. But that's not the message that they're sending. They're sending a message that, hey, special teams needed a major upgrade. But everywhere else, we were pretty good. And yeah, we could create some flexibility, get some cap space, go after some big names. But we're going to sort of hold off on that right now. To me, it's a little bit more of like you look back at the Buffalo Bills and when they started to make big moves, it was after the accuracy for Josh Allen had begun to improve. It was after they knew what they had. And so I wonder if the Niners are going to pursue that type of a strategy where we see after this year or a midseason trade to bring on additional assets to back up Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like for me, if they really believed in Trey Lance, they'd be loading up right now.
Right.
And the fact that they're not, the fact that it makes me feel like they're really hesitant about how good he is and if it's even worth taking the step. Like you see the Chargers taking the step. They know exactly who Justin Herbert is. They've seen 2 seasons of him. They're like, he's a top 5 quarterback. We got to do this. But the Niners are like, well, what if Trey Lance isn't ready? Right? What if we went all in a year before he's ready? I think we're seeing all that right now. And it's too bad because you know what? Should have played the kid last year. Boom! Should have played him last year because then you would have known. You would have known whether it was time or not to go all in.
Yeah, I can see that side of the logic. To me, I'm glad we got to the NFC Championship game. I feel like they were justified in their decision to go with Jimmy Garoppolo, but it does leave us in this pickle right now and not truly understanding. And let me be clear that I believe it's a somewhat reasonable strategy. It's disappointing as a fan. I would prefer that, hey, they've seen him in practices. They know more than I do. I would prefer they send a message that says we are all in on Trey Lance. That's not really the message I'm getting from the organization in interpreting their moves.
I totally agree. But I would just say, though, I've seen him in practice, not as much as they have, but there's a lot to like. I think it's not that he's out there in practice playing poorly. I saw the entire training camp. Right. He was very good for a rookie. I think it's the fear of the unknown. It's like, man,
I agree.
We just don't really know. Like, he looks good in practice most of the time, but like, we just don't know. And like, Jimmy was the most known quantity. Even though you know all of his, you know everything about Jimmy.
Yeah.
Trey's like, and you saw with Kyle calling plays for him, he's like, I don't know what works, man. And like, it didn't even, he called two and a half games for Trey Lance. He didn't really figure it out until the final 2 quarters. What was working, what the rhythm was. And I think that's just scary because I feel like it's a win now league. You only get 17 games. It's just the fear of the unknown. And what I would say is, hey, man, you wanted this. You traded for, you knew, you got to embrace it at some point. You got to embrace it. Take the leap of faith. It's a leap of faith, though. It is.
It is a leap of faith. And I feel as if the Chiefs did that going into the second year. They only got one look at Patrick Mahomes, but it felt as if they said, you know what? It's time for the kid. Let's go. And it takes some courage to do that. It takes some intestinal fortitude, and you've got to be okay with the idea that maybe you're wrong. But what if failing to go all in this offseason prevents the Niners from taking that next step? What if this is the window to pursue? So to me, it is mildly disappointing as a fan. I understand the conservative approach. I can logically process it, but emotionally, it's disappointing.
Well, I was just doing a show with Vish earlier. He made the point that, like, when the Kansas City Chiefs made the transition from Smith to Mahomes and they traded Smith early in the process, like right away. And that allowed them to sign Sammy Watkins.
Right.
So they made a move. It wasn't like, oh, we don't really know about our quarterback, so let's just invest on special teams and we'll see what we got at quarterback. No, boom, Sammy Watkins. We believe in our quarterback and we're giving him another freaking weapon so he can't fail. The Niners aren't exactly doing that. I mean, Ray McLeod, great, but like, it just seems like they're not putting their full confidence behind Trey Lance the way the Chiefs did Patrick Mahomes. In 18.
They're not. Do you think that that's as a result of intention with Jimmy staying on the roster, or do you feel that the Niners just overplayed their hand? Do you think that John Lynch was close, that he had some people with interest, legitimate offers, and he thought, no, I can get a little bit more?
That's what I think happened. Vish is very smart. He's doped it out on the show earlier. He basically said it's most likely that they did have a second-round pick offer on the table before the Watson thing happened.
Right.
Once Watson got cleared, now any team that was interested in Jimmy Garoppolo is interested in him. And
why wouldn't
we're still waiting, right? And so what's crazy is, like, 2 weeks ago, the Niners thought, well, we got Indianapolis dead. Like, they are desperate. But now it's like the Niners didn't anticipate Watson going to maybe Atlanta. And Matt Ryan being in Indianapolis is like, wow, you played yourself. So yes, I think they held on to him too long. If they had, look what Indianapolis did. They traded Wentz for whatever they could get before the Watson thing went down.
Yes.
What if they'd waited till after? No one would want Wentz now. No one would want him. So they were smart to just get what they could get. The Niners got greedy, whatever you want to call it, and it's costing them.
I totally agree. That's been my supposition all along, that this is a game of musical chairs and you attempt to get your seat as early as you can.
They were very arrogant. That's like, okay, Jimmy's up next. No, he's not. No, Matt Ryan's up next. Baker Mayfield's up next. Deshaun Watson's up next. You're constantly getting cut in line. So anyway, we got
so many unexpected moves.
We got to keep the show moving. George says people need to calm down about Deshaun Watson. Too much trouble. We have quarterback that has no issues. He's young and cheap in cap space. Yep.
That's my feeling.
The thing about Deshaun Watson, though, is when he doesn't come here and goes to whatever. If it's Atlanta, forget it. But if it's the Saints, they could win the Super Bowl this year. And you're supposed to win the Super Bowl, Niners, now. I'm just saying, that's a good team.
Very true.
Do you trust their ability to develop Trey? Not particularly. I'm open-minded, but I don't trust anyone.
You don't have your eye on Brian Greasy, and you think to yourself, first-time coach? Come on. He's got this.
Pizza Diaper says, if what you guys are saying about Trey and the organization is true, it makes more sense for them to hold on to Jimmy and trade him at the draft so they can roll his salary over to next season. Okay. Is that what they're trying to do? Maybe. They're going to go all in next year, guys. Next year. Jimmy Garoppolo picks are for they can trade for someone. Can you guys proofread your, please? Jimmy Garoppolo
we need an editor.
So they can trade for someone great. Jimmy Garoppolo picks are for they can trade for someone great. I can't even begin to tell you what you meant by that. I'm sorry, Joel. I like you, though, but I have no idea. Leo says, court of law means nothing anymore. Not guilty. Yes, you are in the court of public opinion, which matters a whole lot more. A whole lot more. Word?
I do think right now in cancel culture, I don't know. I do think that opinions matter. And again, I just don't think
being a felon matters.
Yeah, that's
being true. A felon matters.
That's very true.
Kidding? That guy got off on all counts. Now he might have to pay some money, but that's a big deal for him. Imagine having 22 felonies. Like it's over. Your whole life. Over. So yeah, he'll have to deal with being canceled. Team Grant. Oh, Isaiah. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. The Ray McCloud signing. The Niners signed Ray McCloud, and now they're the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl in Vegas. I'm kidding. But it's a nice move. It's definitely a nice move. What do you think?
I love it as a move. Again, I get that there's disappointment about the feeling that the 49ers are not going all in, but to me,
special teams, all in. Special teams,
special teams, they are all in. Yeah. You can't say at this point. I know that they had some losses there, but again, to me, you have offset those losses and then some. I saw this as a win. The 49er faithful are constantly talking about, dude, we get linked to all these guys, right? The Niners are interested in that. They're kicking the tires on this free agent, and we never are the ones that bring them home. We never seal the deal. This one, Ray McCloud had 6 teams interested in him. He was a premier option as a return man with some upside as a wide receiver. And of those 6 teams reported to have interest, the Niners finally landed a free agent. So I'm taking some pride in that aspect.
The thing about Ray McCloud, like the more I look into him, the more I'm curious as to the plan. Because 4 fumbles, Shanahan has been on record saying, I just want to get the ball back to the offense. Like,
right.
Any yards I get is bonus. I just want to not turn the ball over. Well, this guy's had an issue with that. So that's 1. And 2, he's not like a 4-3 guy. He runs a 4-5. What he's got is that quick acceleration burst, which is great on offense. But on special teams, he's never at a touchdown. He doesn't have the breakaway speed, which is something you kind of want. So I'm thinking there might be a vision for him to all that money for a returner who isn't necessarily the best. I mean, he's not Cordell Patterson. Maybe they actually, this is Kyle being like, oh, gadget player. Oh, Debo's my running back now. I used to be able to use Debo on the end arounds. Now I can use Ray McCloud. I think there's a vision for him in the offense, which is actually kind of intriguing.
I think it's very intriguing. And I agree. I was sort of surprised last night when I started to do the research, look back and saw that he ran a 4.5 at the combine and a 4.5 at his pro day. But then I turned on the tape and you just see him flying through holes. And so to me, it appears as if he's one of those guys that is able to maintain a high rate of speed through the elusive moves, right? That is something that I feel like Raheem Mostert was able to do that, where it was a silky smooth cut that juked the hell out of the defender, but didn't lose much of that speed. And you do see people catching him from behind because he doesn't have the true top end burner speed. But I saw him on some end arounds and it was pretty.
Well, people may forget, but what the Niners did in 2019 that was pretty undefensible, if that's a word, was it wasn't just Mostert in the backfield, but then the Debo Samuel end around off of it. Like, how do you stop that?
How?
Just Mostert on his own is 6 yards a carry, and then Debo getting is probably like 11 yards a carry on that particular. It was murder on defenses. It was too much. And then Debo replaced what Mostert did in the backfield, but they lost that end around threat that made that, just created some misdirection. And Ayuk really wasn't that player last year. He was not. He was much more of a route running specialist down than a Yak guy last year. So now I feel like maybe Kyle feels that Ray McLeod can, if Debo's the new Mostert, then McLeod can be the new Debo in terms of gadget guy, wide receiver-y in the offense.
I like that fit. I certainly think that you're going to see him worked into the offense. I don't think he's going to be just a returner.
Niners signed George Odom from the Colts as a safety. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Our main point is that it's for special teams, and this is an indication that Talanoa Hufanga is going to be a starter for this team unless they draft, Jalen Petrie in round 2, who probably won't be there at the end of round 2. So go watch a lot of Talanoa Hufanga tape and tell me if he's a starter in your opinion. Ricky says Niners signed all these special teams guys thinking that will put him in the Super Bowl. Ha! That's what Ricky thinks? Well,
on a team that was so close, let me ask you a hypothetical, Grant. Let's say the Niners had made these moves last offseason. Keep everybody else on the team. Keep 2021 the same. Add some core special teamers. Would that have made the difference? It certainly would have made the difference in win-loss record. I think you could give me that. Would it have made any difference in the playoffs?
I think to me, the special teams is the reason they won a playoff game.
Yeah, Green Bay.
It was the star of that game.
Yep.
So I understand that it was a weakness for a large part of the season, but I didn't come into the offseason being like, they're just an improved special teams away from being the best team in the league. I don't see it that way. Like, to me, the issue with this team is the fact that they haven't chosen which quarterback they want to commit to. Like, you could argue that last year, if they had not brought in Trey Lance and spent the 12th pick on someone that would help Jimmy Garoppolo, like, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if they had just committed to Trey Lance, traded Jimmy Garoppolo, and used that cap space on things to help Trey Lance, they would have gone to the Super Bowl. Like, the fact that they didn't choose one or the other and kind of try to do both, you could say is the biggest thing that held them back.
I agree. Like, summarizing that, I would say that the indecision at quarterback has created a misuse of assets, right? Asset allocation that could have been otherwise spent. Jimmy Garoppolo could have had a better surrounding cast in last year. This year, if Jimmy were gone, Trey could have a much better surrounding cast.
Pick one. And it's like the Niners are like, no, we don't have to. We're that much better than the rest of the league. And what they're saying is, like, the rest of the league has X cap space.
Yeah.
We're going to waste this and D Ford. So we're going to be better than everyone else with like X minus cap space. Like, what? Who do you think you know? You're not. You're going to be in the mix. But if you really want to be the number one team in the league, you got to go all in. That's how you won the last Super Bowl in 1995. That's what you did. And the reason you guys, the Niners, were on the cusp in the early 90s when I was a very little kid, and they needed to beat the Cowboys, and they took extreme measures to do so. This team is like, let's just stay in the mix every year. Let's just give ourselves a chance and do business as usual. Maybe it'll work for them, but it hasn't worked yet. It's not how Eddie did business.
And it is a healthy long-term strategy. I don't want to be too critical of it because I do think it leads to sustained success. But you have to ask yourself, when you get to the crest of the hill, when you get up there and you just need a little bit more, that's the time when you say, all right, reckless abandon, let's go. We're close. Let's do this. And you see other teams making those moves. I think that's the frustration I get from Niner faithful, is that the Niners are that close. They are definitely that close. A few moves seems to be the difference, but they're being conservative.
But there's another segment of the Niner faithful that feels like they're there already. And the fact that they didn't win a Super Bowl last year was a fluke, and that they just need to patch a couple holes, and they're there. And what's crazy about that is that's how I feel the organization feels.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that how John mentioned Shanahan feels?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's why a large segment of the fan base feels that way too, is because they're taking cues from the organization. We're good. We're good. Like, man, I disagree. And it's like, okay, the NFC is getting easier and easier. Okay, the AFC is getting harder and harder. And I'm pretty sure you got to play an AFC team in the Super Bowl if you get there.
I think those are the rules.
And the Niners are acting again like, oh, we're the best team in the NFC West. We own the Rams. For sure. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because they just won the Super Bowl. And they just beat you in the NFC Championship game. Like, you're not the best team in your division. I don't even know what topic we're on, but I'm going to keep going. In 2019, when they went to the Super Bowl, they made some big moves. It was D Ford, Quan Alexander. And then when that wasn't enough, at 8-0, they were undefeated. Whatever it was. And they're like, we need Emmanuel Sanders too. This year, they're like, man, special teams. And Travarius Ward, who's like, good, but like the Chiefs aren't tripping on losing Trevarius Ward. In fact, they're like, you know what? We'd rather have Justin Reed, which makes me feel like the Niners should have felt like they should have rather had Justin Reed because they had a needed safety too. So now I'm thinking like you just took the Chiefs. They didn't even want him. The Chiefs wanted Justin Reed instead of Trevarius Ward. Why wouldn't you want Justin Reed over Trevarius Ward? Why? So I'm like, already I'm skeptical because the last time you invested in a Chiefs player that they didn't want, it didn't work out good. You thought you knew better than the Chiefs about their own player, and you didn't. Now you're double dipping. Anyway, that's a rant. I don't know what the topic is anymore.
The Grant rant.
We're talking about special teams, apparently, according to the ticker.
Yeah, well, I think we have veered off of special teams. That's for sure. I do think that you could see an aggressive in-season trade. Once the Niners have confirmed what they have in Trey Lance, I think they'll be much more willing to throw themselves out there.
Okay, good point. William says maybe not splash and shows, some confidence in Trey, not uncertainty. They don't think they need much, not acting out of desperation, and I like it. That is definitely a more positive way to look at it.
Yeah, flip side of the coin.
I'm not built to look at things that way. Sorry. To be fair, we have an unproven quarterback. 94, 95 had Young Rice. That's probably what's going on right now. I mean, you look at the teams going all in, they all know exactly what they got at quarterback. Am I wrong on that? Josh Allen, his team went all in. Derek Carr, his team went all in. Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson. We all like Trey Lance, but really, man, we don't know. And frankly, it's possible that him not playing last year means he's not quite ready to lead this team to a Super Bowl or any team, which is why I thought he should have played last year. But that's a difference. But the Niners could be like, hey, we could get Chandler Jones and not win the Super Bowl because our quarterback has 2.5 starts in the last 2 years. And that's on them.
And I do think it's fair to point out that the Niners are, I think, indisputably a good team. It's just a question of whether they're Super Bowl caliber.
CBS grades our free agency C+ so far. In what context? I mean, you could give them an A, saying this was a good purchase, this was worth the price. You could give them an F and saying they had one goal. You had one objective, is to become the Super Bowl favorite, and they failed. I mean, it depends on what you're grading them on.
Sure. I mean, I would look at, I thought their number one priority was re-signing their own guys. So in that case, the C+ seems fitting.
Skylar says, I like the Odom signing, but feel we are still lacking that playmaker in the secondary. Any predictions to fill the remaining holes in the team? They think Talanoa is a playmaker. I'm telling you, they romanticize late round safeties on this team. Adrian Colbert was the first one. No disrespect to Adrian Colbert. He was an undrafted or a 7th round pick who, had a moment. Talanoa, similar. And it's crazy to think that say what you want about Tart, premium athlete. Didn't necessarily have the ball skills, premium athlete. And you're going to replace him with a 5th round pick who's not a premium athlete? We shall see. We shall see. Hey, man, maybe he'll be a playmaker, though. I don't know. Trade Jimmy for cap space? No. We just need to cut our Hulu subscription. John Lynch, likely. Yeah, that was Vicious thing. He's like, you have this Lamborghini that you're not using, and you're trying to find ways to save money. So you're like not shopping at Whole Foods anymore. You're going to grocery outlet bargain market just to save $1 here and there when you have a Lamborghini in the driveway that you're not driving.
Yeah, it's a fair criticism. If the Niners have sacrificed anyone so far that they couldn't sign because they had Jimmy's cap space still on the books, to me, that would be a big mistake, because at some point you do just have to say, we got to move on. We have got to make use of this cap space one way or the other.
You keep trashing Ward. What the F? Let's see him play first. I would say he was like the 4th best cornerback on the market. He's a good player.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
He's a good player. I just thought the Niners should be, going after great players. But I'm a jerk like that. Sean says, Niner Empire DMV. Remember Grant, Cohn, and Rob. Kyle and John think they're the smartest people in the NFL. It's true. They overvalue Jimmy G, and we as a fan base must hold them accountable for our team not being successful this upcoming season. I really feel like the Niners think they buy into what the locker room says. Jimmy's this leader. He's a savior. He's got this intangible quality. He's better than he's better than his stats. And the rest of the league's like, I don't see it. And the Niners are like, well, you will. You will see it the way we see it. It's like, but they're like, but you don't want him. They're like, well, yeah, it's complicated. We kind of do. That's how I look at it.
I feel like it's more likely that the 49ers got a little overconfident and somewhat bamboozled in this whole scenario, that they thought that it was a done deal and then just didn't sign on the dotted line when they should have taken the first good offer that came their way.
I'm glad we spoke about in special teams the last 20 minutes. I don't know. I'm going to get back on. Let's talk about some.
Yeah, we didn't even hit that one, but we could if you want.
I think that's enough. And then we talked about the overall strategy, philosophy of free. We've been doing that. We're like 35 minutes in. Let's talk about something totally different. Julio Jones, free agent in his 30s. What do you think?
I see this as a potentially good addition for the 49ers in sort of the locker room presence and a minimal amount of production that he's going to add at his age, right? I'm not confident that he's going to stay healthy the entirety of the year, but what I do know is he's a veteran. He has a phenomenal locker room presence. And I feel like when you brought that in to the 49ers, if you brought that into the 49ers, it would be similar, akin to the move that brought in Emmanuel Sanders. And it could be something that lifts the entire wide receiver locker room. I also see some other wide receivers out there. I just don't think that the Niners should be done in free agency when it comes to wide receiver. I'd be good with Odell Beckham Jr., knowing he's not going to contribute until late in the season or the postseason. Jarvis Landry, to me, would be a huge target. I'd be fine with adding some speed in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Juju Smith-Schuster's been linked to the team. Will Fuller, although he has the injury in history. To me, the 49ers should not be done at wide receiver.
Agreed. And they're not, because they only have 4 on their roster.
Right.
I just don't think Julio Jones is the one I would go after. Although I know there's arguments to be made. It's just I'm looking at his stats. He might be washed, Rob. I mean, in 2020, he was 31, 9 games, 51 catches, 771 yards. I mean, not a terrible season, but only 9 games. And then this year, 2021, he was 32, played 10 games, he had 31 catches. I'm afraid he's starting to miss half a season and he's not good anymore. I saw him in Tennessee. He looked slow. He looked washed to me. So to me, you just listed a bunch of free agent wide receivers. I'm more interested in the dudes in the draft. Everyone's saying this is a great wide receiver draft. Man, double dip if you have to. Like, take a wide receiver in round 2 or round 3. That's where I want to get. I want to take advantage of that market, not necessarily the free agent market. So
yeah, I could see that. It is a deep wide receiver class. There is a lot of speed there, and I do think the Niners take a wide receiver in the draft. I just start to get caught up when I look at doing mock drafts, and I haven't put any formal ones out yet, but when I look at the picks and I look at the needs for the 49ers, knowing that they haven't finished in free agency, I just see more holes and places I'd rather go early in the draft, and then by the time we got around to it, I just worry that there wouldn't be enough talent to add significant depth there. I look at this list and think to myself, of these 5 wide receivers, I'm really good with like 3 of them. Of the 6, I'd probably be good with 4 because I'd be okay with Julio Jones. I wouldn't be as excited by him as I would if the Niners got a Jarvis Landry or Juju Smith-Schuster. But I believe that there could be value here because there's some quality names still remaining available. The Niners might be able to get a bargain.
Yeah, I'm just afraid you give a guy, if it's a bargain, great. You give a guy a contract, he misses half the season. That's it. That's the only thing. I mean, I saw a stat this morning from Field Yates, I think, that of all the wide receivers last year who were older than 30, none of them got to 1,000 yards. And I know you're not signing Julio Jones to get to 1,000 yards, but I think it kind of shows you that this is a position that doesn't age that well. Jerry Rice notwithstanding, it doesn't age that well. It's about speed, and once these lower leg injuries start piling up, George Kittle, Julio Jones, you see what happens. And like, they can fall off quickly, especially at wide receiver where so much of the position is about speed. So Julio Jones, if he's healthy, great. But I'm over here trying to trade George Kittle, and he's only 28. So you will see where I would stand on 33-year-old Julio Jones.
Yeah. When I look at your stance on George,
I'm being consistent.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And they're valid concerns. I could see if you get the value, you might have a resurgence of Julio underneath Kyle Shanahan, who truly understands what he would have in that special wide receiver and could put him in a position to be successful.
I mean, the way I look, before we move on real quick, the way I look at the injury stuff, it wasn't as big of a deal last year, but it's always been an issue with the Niners. And when it happens, fans are pissed. They're like, we got to examine the training staff, and why do we bring these players in? But then when it's like actually time to do something about it in the offseason, and you talk about, well, maybe you shouldn't invest in some of these injury prone players, or maybe it's time to get rid of one a year early than a year late, people be like, why would you just assume he's going to get hurt again? Like, all right, yeah, I'm just you can't have it both ways. You got to actually prioritize it if it's something that bothers you, or just say it's the cost of doing business in the NFL. Pedro, thank you. There's more. I just want to take one and then keep going the show, but we'll come back. Trade James, sign Gilmore, Matthew, and Zadarius Smith or Dante Fowler. James is Jimmy Garoppolo. Mike says trade James Garoppolo, sign Gilmore, Matthew, Zadarius Smith, or Dante Fowler. Rams and whole AFC West are going to kill the secondary. If not, see, to me, if you got rid of Jimmy now, you could get another DB and an edge rusher and be like, boom, here we go. But I guess you'd have to believe in Trey Lance, right?
You would have to. You'd have to have faith. But I mean, I feel like part of me wants to say to the 49ers. Are you talking like Limp
Bizkit faith, or are you talking like Wham faith?
I'm talking Wham faith. Like, you got to have faith.
All right, faith.
Faith.
Okay, cool.
Faith.
All right.
So I think that the 49ers have committed themselves to Lance regardless of how they feel about him. So go all in. You know, as we were talking through this, that sort of epiphany dawned on me is they're sort of hedging their bet, but they already made the bet. The wager has been placed. Like, just accept that and just say, all right, we are all in. Let's do this. I would agree. I thought that trade of Jimmy and then the use of those cap dollars, while I may not want those exact players, the positions that he addressed there would be a huge boon for the 49ers.
Charlie says Niners trading for Deshaun Watson, reason no movement. Small deals waiting for him to choose. Big move coming, keeping it silent. Greenlaw traded. Greenlaw for Watson. The best trade of all time. Could be. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I like the tinfoil hat theories. Keep them coming. That Niner guy says there is a hard rumbling Watson pick. The Falcons. Yes. I can honestly not believe this. They completely screwed themselves and trade this season. Now we can all be pissed. Oh, that's a turn. He's from Atlanta. He's from Atlanta. A lot of people like living in Atlanta. I like Atlanta. Atlanta's fun. So I can see it.
What a way to end the career for Matt Ryan. Like, a guy who's just been there for your franchise, and you're like, no, we found somebody new. So
thanks. Watson might not be there, but wide receiver Alec Pierce round third. There you go. Alec Pierce. That's the name. Back to the show. Thank you. All right. Should the Niners sign a running back or add one through the draft? Both angles. What's going to happen? What would you do?
I see a lot of people talking about Melvin Gordon. I see a lot of people bringing up Cordarrelle Patterson. You know, Leonard Fournette is still out there. To me, Cordarrelle Patterson was an intriguing one when we had the need at returner. If you were killing two birds, one stone.
So much better than Ray though.
Yeah,
so much better than Ray though.
That one would have interested me. But now that we seem to be out of the running for that, I feel like even though you are down Bobby Turner, and please, Niner faithful, do not discount what it meant to have Bobby Turner dialing the phones relentlessly in the draft, getting to know these candidates. Even though we lost that, I still have faith that the 49ers can get some value in the draft or an undrafted free agent. To me, you've got to pick your spots where you can go cheap. I think it would be a mistake to go cheap at strong safety. It seems the 49ers are doing that. I don't think it would be a mistake to go a little bit cheap at running back. The 49ers have shown an ability to make selections and to develop in doing that.
You know, it's kind of like with the Niners' attitude is like, you know, if we're just going to throw a total unknown out there at quarterback, why not do it at left guard? Why not do it at safety? Why not do it at nickelback? I mean, honestly, as long as we're just going to go from a totally proven entity to someone that we have no freaking idea about, but we like, why should we not start Aaron Banks? I mean, really, what's the difference between Trey Lance and Aaron Banks in terms of resume? Two games? With 10 quarters? Come on. Maybe that's what's going on here. It's like, as long as we're bending the rules a little bit, let's just forget it. Talanoa, you get to start. Diamador, you get to start. Javon Kinlaw, we don't even know if you have a functioning knee. You get to start because Trey started. And because the draft place, the draft capital we gave up forces our hand. Forces our hand at quarterback and at every that'd be great. I love that.
2022 becomes the season of let's just see what we got. Let's just see what we got.
Which is crazy considering how freaking close they were to winning the Super Bowl last year. I mean, really, if Tart catches that, if they just get to the Super Bowl, like, you really think they're going to lose to the Bengals? Like, it was this close, and now they're not. It's like, let's just take a step back real quick, and then we'll take and then next year it's like, okay, wow, Things happen. What if Trent Williams, it's football. The Niners thought they would have 10 years of Navarro Bowman. They had 3. They thought they'd have 10 years of Alden Smith. They had 1.5. You're really just going to play the long game? Damn. All right. Well, that's what happens when you give a lifetime contract to a coach. And Kyle essentially does. He could work here maybe I'm wrong about that, but
the seat seems pretty cool at this point.
The regular Ryan says Niners looking kind of dumb with their finger and the thumb in the shape of a J on their forehead. Oh, I liked it. You flipped it at the end, made it about Jimmy, but it's Smash Mouth, and they're topical because they are not. I loved it.
Very clever.
All right, we got more, but we're going to go back to our show real quick. TE2. TE2. Is there a show called QB1? There should be a show called TE. I would watch TE2. That's way more dramatic.
Yes.
Who's going to be TE2 this year? Who's taking my boy's spot?
It seems like it's completely up in the air. I mean, I have not heard the 49ers actually linked to the 2 candidates they have been linked to in previous off seasons, Austin Hooper, Rob Tonyan. There are a couple of names out there in free agency that would interest me. I also have a fascination with a couple of players in the draft, but this feels like a necessity for the San Francisco 49ers, and I've not really heard anything concrete to this point.
Austin Hooper?
That would be my target. I mean, it seems like he's available. You've flirted with him in the past. You'd be returning him to the Bay Area. He's a natural sort of fit within what the 49ers look to do. That would seem like a high-quality upgrade. And my optimistic side is saying, Grant, listen, there's plenty of quality options available across the board still in free agency. Like, all the Niners need to do is move that salary of Jimmy Garoppolo and reallocate it in a intelligent fashion. They could add some serious firepower to this team.
Yeah. I mean, to me, though, this team doesn't throw. This team doesn't throw. It's a run-first team. They want to run the ball. You already have, you can't get the ball to Debo enough. You have to play him at running back. You can't get the ball there's not enough targets to go around, is what I'm saying. And now you're going to bring in Austin Hooper. He needs targets. And you're paying him for his receiving ability. So I would like him to – I like Ross Dwelley. I'm not giving up on – I'll never quit Ross Dwelley. He is a fine reserve pass-catching tight end. What the Niners need is a run blocker so they can get George Kittle out of the backfield, so they can get George Kittle in the pattern more often. Charlie Warner is not an impactful blocker. I don't really get what he does. They could get someone who's actually a good blocker, free up George Kittle when healthy to be more of a receiver because you don't need him in pass protection. I mean, really, plus you're trying to preserve him and make sure he actually has a future. So I would say TE2, not Austin Hooper. Get a blocker. I don't even know. Those are guys you don't know who their names are.
Yeah, you go less expensive in that because, I mean, that seems like a significant savings to go after somebody who's primarily a blocking tight end.
Yeah. I mean, they've been looking for the blocking tight end for a long time. It's not Werner. It wasn't Selleck. It wasn't Toilolo. It's an important position, and it would really help Kittle's workload because he blocks a lot.
Yes, he does, and it would be nice to get him out there into catching some more passes again.
I would think so. That's what you're paying him for. Chris says, Ryan or Garoppolo, who do you take if you're the Colts? Matt Ryan.
I think you got to take Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. I'm sorry. Matt Ryan, even at his old age, is willing to throw the ball down the field. I can't get over that with Jimmy. Jimmy, all of his limitations, the one that gets me the most is how he reacted to missing Sanders in the Super Bowl. You can count on one hand the times he's even attempted throws like that since then. I can't deal with a quarterback who has mental scars. Can't do that to me. That's me.
That's
deal with the interceptions. But you're not going to push the ball down the field. You're going to let the defense constrict and I can't do that. I can't. I'm sorry.
The only thing that could change that equation is what is your future plan at the position, right? If you're thinking a much shorter term, I could see you wanting to commit to Garoppolo to save yourself a little bit of money to make an easier transition when you decide to move on. But if you're looking for a long-term solution and your choices are Matt Ryan or Jimmy Garoppolo, it's Matt Ryan.
I would think so. Glojo says, Grant, your Ray vid had me cracking up. Surely the Niners are Super Bowl bound now. I'm snarky. But it's just, I'm down in Monterey and I was driving. I was waiting for the news. I was like, man, they're going to trade Jimmy when I'm driving down.
Right.
And 15 minutes out from getting here, it's Ray McLeod. I'm like, After Allen Robinson and Devontae Adams, I'm tripping about like the Niners making their block. I'm like, of course they're not going to make a blockbuster. I'm a jerk, but it made me laugh. So that's how I felt. Let's talk gains versus losses. Are the Niners a better team now than they were at the end of last season? Let's go through it.
It's tough to say. All right, I'm going to go through and list off the gains and then the losses. So obviously the gains become Charvarius Ward, Ray McLeod, Oren Burks, Hassan Ridgeway, and now the safety that we've added today. Losses, Laken Tomlinson, DJ Jones, Raheem Mostert, Trenton Cannon, Trent Sherfield, Tom Compton, Contavious Street. I mean, it's certainly a longer list of the losses. When you look at overall quality of those players lost, how do you see that breaking out? Do you see the Niners as being at a net zero right now as far as additions and losses? Or do the heavier losses of Laken Tomlinson and DJ Jones outweigh any of the folks that they've brought in?
Well, let me just try to go through it systematically. Have they improved their special teams? I'm not sure. They've changed it. They brought in Oren Burks and now George Odom. They lost Trent Sherfield and Trenton Cannon and Raheem Mostert. So I'm not sure that they lost that they've improved on special teams, but they've addressed it. Have they improved their defense? They added Charvarius Ward. They lost Tart, K'Wan Williams, and DJ Jones, and probably Arden Key, and maybe more. So I can't say that they necessarily improved their defense. And then on offense, Ray McLeod. Okay, like, fine. He's a nice gadget player. You'll use him sometimes. You lost your starting left guard. So I can't say that the Niners have gotten better. I'm not going to say they got worse, but you're either getting better or you're getting worse, right? And I don't think they got better. I don't know.
Yeah, I think going phase by phase in the game to me is an intelligent way to look at it. I would argue that they have gotten better on special teams when I look at the players lost versus the players that they gained. But I would think that they've taken a step back in each so far. I do think it is important to call out that the 49ers are not done. Free agency is not over. There are still some high caliber candidates that are available. But I also think that we have to look at what have the 49ers shown us with their philosophy so far, and what does that say about what they're going to do in the remainder of free agency? Unless there really is this logjam of like, man, we are waiting on 3 or 4 of these guys that are still out there. We just got to get rid of Jimmy. We just got to wait on Deshaun Watson. Unless that's the plan, I see this unfolding in much the way that it has. Some value signings as we close this thing out, a few Band-Aids over some team needs. But I don't know that we're going to see any splash signings from here on out. There's still some splashy names available. I just don't know they're going to be linked to the Niners.
And what's funny to me is we see the Niners as being this close to being a Super Bowl team. And we assume that the Niners think that they're even better than that. What if the Niners are like, we're not a Super Bowl team? Like, we have to go to Trey Lance now. But we're not. Like, we're not a Super Bowl team with Jimmy. And we're not a Super Bowl team with Trey. And we're a year away. We're a year away. So what we're going to do is like have a diagnostic year where we see we have a Trey, see we have a Talanoa, see we have a Diamador. You know what I'm saying? And,
2-year plan.
And then go all in 2023, which is year 3 of Trey Lance. It's actually when the Chargers went all in. They waited until year 3 with her. It's possible. And you don't think of teams planning that far ahead because there's no job security in the NFL, but the Niners have it. They just won the NFC Championship game. I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking, nah, we're not going all in. We're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. We're not going to say that. We'll be in the mix. Anything could happen, but no, we're going to go all in 2023.
I don't think it's unreasonable. I would suppose that it's closer that they are unsure in what they have and that they're hedging a little bit. But the 2-year plan makes sense to me to say, hey, listen, if Trey is who we think that he is, then we've got a hell of a chance to win the Super Bowl this year, whether we add anybody or not. Like, we get elite play from Trey, we are winning the Super Bowl. So why make this, big investment in some things that add to the puzzle? Let's give ourselves some flexibility in case he's not who we think that he is. And then if Trey Lance has this huge,
let's say Trey Lance has a huge year as a rookie and becomes a celebrity, a household name, all of a sudden the Niners will have more cap space next year because Jimmy will finally be gone. The cap will go up. They'll be a destination despite being in Santa Clara with the highest tax rate in the country. People want to play with him. And then they can, I mean, why are people going to play with the Chargers right now? It's expensive to live in California because of Justin Herbert, Right.
They
want to be on that team. And so maybe I don't know that Trey Lance is a free agent draw right now. I'm sure a lot of professional football players like, I don't know that kid. I haven't seen him play, so we'll have to see. But in a year from now, it could be a whole different thing.
Yeah. And the Niners may be fighting with this idea that free agents come in and they're like, I hate to say it, but you guys got a dumpster fire going on with this whole quarterback situation right now.
Yeah,
like you can't get your stuff together and trade. Yeah. You're starting like you treated Jimmy the way you did last year, and now you can't even get him off the books. It may not be the ideal spot for free agents at the moment. I mean, talent-wise it is, but as far as what's going on in the locker room right now, until they get Jimmy gone, it is chaotic.
It's funny. You think of the Niners being one of the best teams in the league with one of the best situations in the league, but when you don't have your quarterback situation nailed down, all of a sudden teams that aren't even as good as you look more attractive, like the Chargers. The Chargers are not as good as the 49ers.
No.
But from a free agent's perspective, it's like, man, I want to be with Justin Herbert long term. I don't even know what the Niners are going to look like in 2 years.
Right.
So, and that's a situation you created. So anyway, yeah, maybe they're not even actually able to be the players in free agency they want to be right now because of their quarterback position. What do you think about, I don't know why you said the word tasting, for Kareem Hunt, a running back who missed 9 games last year? No, I don't like that. I don't do it. He's got to be Cordero Pat. You got to have the only running back I would sign is a guy who's also plays wide receiver and a kick returner. Other than if you're just a running back, it's like you got hurt, you're going to get hurt. I'm cool.
Yeah, you don't want to overpay for running back in today's NFL.
Would love if SF tried to get AJ Terrell. Yeah, he's great.
That'd be dope.
Matthew says, Grant, when are you going to put your pod on iHeart? Also, the Niners try to game the system and it's their downfall. I don't even know. It's on Apple and Spotify and stuff. Try to game the system. Well, they're in Silicon Valley. They think they're the smartest organization in the league. It's the Silicon Valley disease. Why do the Niners? Did people do this? You put an office in that area and you're like, well, we're ahead of the game now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got it together.
Did we just get smarter? Wow. It's an amazing thing.
That's what happens when a region just prints money, right? I mean, like people just start to think of themselves as pretty untouchable when the money's rolling in.
Absolutely. Because they're in Silicon Valley, they print money, but it doesn't mean you own an NFL team. You put it there arbitrarily. You're not Steve Jobs. You're so not. Even though you want to be. Why did the Niners just sign George Odom? Special teams. And they like Talanoa Fenga. Bingo. Dude said tasting Kareem Hunt. If the Niners trade for Watson, they will get 2 2s for Jimmy, making teams want him. Trade Lance for 2 firsts. Trade 2 2s, 3s, and Grant. They win Super Bowl. I can't follow that, dude. Sorry. Hold on. Let me try again. Because hold on. Let me try. If the Niners trade for Watson, they will get 2 2s for Jimmy, making. No, they won't. What?
I think his argument is that like they changed the game of musical chairs by then bringing Watson to them, freeing Jimmy up. There's still those other quarterback needy teams out there, but I agree with you that 2 2s is optimistic.
Optimistic. I think there's one more, and then we'll get back to the show. What's going on?
What's happening?
Watson to the Browns. Oh man. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, so hold on. Is this the second piece of breaking news that just happened on our show?
Are you kidding me? Did it happen?
Hold on. I think it did happen. Watson to the Browns? What? Wow.
Ian Rappaport.
Wait a second.
Deshaun Watson will be the new quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. A real thing. The Browns will now trade Baker Mayfield.
Oh, God.
Ian Rappaport at 12:50 p.m.
Okay, let's talk it through. Hold on. This is big news.
Oh, Lindsay okay with the burn. This isn't the first time the Falcons were close to the prize and lost it in the last 15 minutes.
What Watson going to Cleveland means for the 49ers. Okay. So, wow. Deshaun Watson is going to the Cleveland Browns, not the Atlanta Falcons.
The team that was out, like we got that notification. No, Cleveland is out of the running. Here they are.
Watson was like, I could go back to my hometown in Atlanta, or I could put roots down in Cleveland. No brainer, baby. Let's go to the Midwest. Interesting move. It's a good team. He's in the AFC.
Yeah.
They traded him in the same conference. I'm shocked. So how does this impact the 49ers? Musical chairs. Musical chairs just changed, right? So you don't got to worry about Matt Ryan right now, at least, unless they're going to trade him for no reason. It's going to be Baker. And Baker could be going to the Colts. What are the Colts going to do? Trade for Baker or trade for Jimmy?
That's a tough scenario. I would think, given what I learned from an inside source there, again, the gentleman, Nate Atkins, that I spoke with considerably at the Combine, he was talking about the biggest aspect of Jimmy Garoppolo that the Colts were interested in was the leadership aspect. It was the adult in the room. And we just heard all about Baker Mayfield not being the adult in the room. So that would seem to run very contrary to what the Colts are looking for. If I were just looking at age, talent, I would probably go for Baker in that scenario. But if I'm looking for a real locker room leader, with everything I know about Baker Mayfield and with everything that has come out in what he's been dealing with over the last week, I just don't know that he is that strong of a leader character within him.
Yeah, and that's a big thing with the Colts, right? Like, they basically got rid of Carson Wentz because he wasn't vaccinated. They felt that was poor leadership, and no one likes him. So popularity and vaccination status matter big time to Indianapolis. And boom, I mean, like, no one checks those boxes like Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, that dude is quadruple vaxxed probably. And everyone likes him. I like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's impossible not to like. So maybe, but honestly, if you want like a quarterback with upside who has a willingness to throw down the field, I would go with Baker Mayfield.
Yes, but you would think there could be multiple teams in on Baker Mayfield, right? He does have the higher upside, and so you've heard people talk about Seattle as a potential landing spot for Baker Mayfield. I think there could be a couple of teams that are suitors. And what this does, because it's not a certainty, because it's not the clear-cut scenario where it's like, oh, well, player A goes here, therefore player B from there goes to here, and now you have an opening for Jimmy Garoppolo. This doesn't seem to create a complete opening for Jimmy Garoppolo. It just makes it a little bit longer. Another domino now has to fall. Like, we have to wait on another quarterback to decide where they're going to go.
Yeah, this is great. So Josh says, if you want Watson, it has to be a four-way trade. Oh, too late. Sorry. Sorry about it. Yeah, man. Baker to the Colts, traded to New Orleans. Nope. He's, he says build around the kid. Well, that's going to forget Deshaun Watson to the 49ers. He's going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Watson to the Browns, 5 years, $230 million confirmed.
That is wild.
Wild. My goodness. Let's see what else. People were like, look at the chat. Don't forget, offenses only run first because they had half a quarterback for 4 years. Things open up next season. Well, okay. Breaking news. Other than Trent Williams, the O-line is my biggest concern. What are they going to do there? Aaron Banks, you didn't hear about that? Jalen Moore, Colt McKivitz. They're going with a youth movement now.
Yep.
It's too frustrating sitting and waiting. Niners frustrating, man. We have arguably the most difficult schedule. Please not a 2020 repeat. It's going to be a 2020 repeat.
Love the optimism, Grant.
Watson just went to the Browns. Yeah, man, that's crazy. Wow.
Crazy.
So now the Browns went all in. And the Niners are like, next year, baby, next year. Like, you don't want to be like the 10th person to go all in at the table, though, right? That's okay.
Yeah, well, so I like Akash just put this out, and I think it's a logical way to look at it. So you have landing spots and available quarterbacks legitimately, right? Colts, Panthers, Saints, Seahawks need quarterbacks. Garoppolo and Baker are the two available quarterbacks. So it does bode well for the 49ers in a sheer numbers game that there are legitimately 4 teams that could be interested in a quarterback and only 2 legitimate quarterbacks out there. But I just don't think the Panthers really are a fit for Garoppolo. So down to 3 teams, 2 quarterbacks.
People are saying I don't read the chat. No, what happens is when someone posts a super chat, I stay with it so I don't miss it. Because when people donate and I miss it, they get so mad, as they should. Yeah. So I don't, like, I have one and I'm saving it.
Can't keep scrolling down.
I can't keep scrolling down.
Right.
So I'm like 10 minutes behind here. He says, look, Twitter, thank you for notifying me. Deshaun to the Browns, thank you for your notification. I appreciate it. I really do read. Here I go. Rob's positivity up against Grant's negativity feels a lot like all 4 Ghostbusters crossing the streams to battle Gozer. I like that me and Rob can be on totally different ends of the spectrum, agree on very little, and have wonderful conversations. I look forward to them every week. That's what sports talk should be.
Not like what it should be.
Not like the contrived, I'm mad at you. How could you say that? I'm out. Like, first of all, you don't care that much. Second of all, I don't want to listen to you yell. It sucks. Can you guys just talk like you're in a college seminar? That's fun. I like those kind of
Yeah,
Hey,
let's have a
so,
logical debate, right? Because
yes.
there's both some speculation involved in what we're saying. And so that's the fun part is like make your case, make your logical argument for what you believe in and do it passionately, but be open to new information from whomever you're arguing with.
Niners gave those picks away last year to move up in the draft for Lance, who they didn't even start. They could have easily gotten Watson this year. Well, the Niners misplayed it. Well, that's crazy. Well, they, but they're going to be the best team in the league in 2023. I'm just saying. Wait, we already 2023 is their year.
2-year plan.
2-year plan, baby. Man, we're still like 10 minutes behind on. Hold on, I'm kidding. This is hella funny. Read the chat. Sean Watson going to Cleveland Browns. Oh, thank you, George. Appreciate it, George. I'm so sorry. All these people paying me money. 3 firsts and 2 additional in the trade. That's what it was going to have to be. Cleveland. Know what they were thinking. Cleveland made a bad decision. New contract, 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed. Hilarious. Thank you very much. Thank you for updating me. Jimmy Baker. I'm no Jimmy Stan either. Not a big fan of either quarterback, to be honest. So fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a
they both have their issues.
I don't like Baker at all.
No.
I really don't. I hate his commercials. Maybe that's what I hate his freaking commercials so much. Michael, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like something about those commercials. Like, dude, you don't live there. No one thinks you live there. Like, why is this not funny? But you didn't write it. Okay. And he did anyway.
He's just getting his paper.
We got to end the show. It's gone over, and we both have it. I'm doing with Sibla in 20 minutes. You got your own show in 20 minutes. We got to stop.
Yeah.
The Deshaun Watson thing threw us for a loop. But if you want to get more talk, Rob's going, I'm going. You can go back and forth. You can have both on multiple screens at the same time. Why not?
Why not?
Any chance Ryan gets traded to Indy still? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he can't be all that thrilled, right? How does Matt Ryan feel right now?
I'll ask him. Rob, this is a lot of fun, man. Thanks for doing this with me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I actually put the link to your YouTube in the description this week. I remember.
Look at that.
Click on that.
Get down there. Get over to my channel. I mean, you got to watch Grant at 1:30. You're watching his channel right now. You're going to watch him at 1:30. But I'm on at 1:30 with Brad Graham as well. So when you're done watching Grant, come watch mine, the recorded version.
No. Watch Rob and then watch me recorded. Rob's is going to be great too. Sybil is very good.
So much back and forth. Yeah, I love Sybilish. Fantastic.
And I try not to stream when you're streaming, but it's just streaming marathon day.
It's free agency.
Yeah, it's got to do it. Hold on. A couple more. Gabriel says Jimmy Subway commercial, Baker commercials. Oh, I can't take that Subway commercial either, though. That's a bad one.
Yeah.
We real Niner faithful because believe in our head coach GM's plan and vision. Don't care about negative Nancy. Doesn't matter how hard she screams every day. Well, thank you for giving me $5 if you really feel that way.
Yeah.
Watson's plaintiffs are celebrating. All right. We're done. See you guys in 20 minutes.